Hi, I hope you're well. So today I just want to share how I save money for travel. I wrote a blog post on it, I think a couple of years ago now, and it's been really popular. So I just wanted to talk through exactly what I do. I have been on quite a few big trips. I wrote the blog post about my experience going on exchange to Montreal, Canada for a semester, how I saved 20 grand to be able to do that, and yeah, how like the different things that I did to be able to make that happen, including mindset but also some technical things as well. So I have done quite a bit of traveling. I did a semester, as I was saying, in Montreal in 2013. In 2014 I went to Europe for 6 weeks and visited my friends from exchange. In 2015, right at the end, I went to Peru for 2 weeks for a charity trek for the National Breast Cancer Foundation. And then I came home, and then 3 days later I flew to Europe and traveled around Europe for 7 weeks with my friends. And then we were in New York for the last week after going to Iceland, which was really cool. And before that, in 2011, I went to Europe for 6 weeks as well. And in high school, I went to France for 3 weeks on the school trip, but that was a bit different because my dad helped pay for that, I think. Well, I'm sure I wasn't making enough then as a little 15-year-old, 16-year-old. But yeah, I just want to share exactly how I save money. Part of the reason I want to talk about this too, and I think I do mention it in the blog post, but not having money to travel can just be an excuse to keep us in our comfort zone. So if you're watching this, then you might, have difficulty saving money for holidays, for travel, and you probably know what to do, but you're not doing it. And part of that can be certain money beliefs that you have, and all these beliefs about, like, I'm not good with money, I'm not the kind of person that can save, I'm not the kind of person that can resist a bargain. All that stuff won't help you. But there's also, you might not, like, travel is uncomfortable. You're going to a new place, new experiences, often a lot more organizations required than in your day-to-day life. And people as well, like, you might not know where you want to travel. You might want to travel, but you don't know who to travel with. You might be worried, like, you might have different fears. You might be scared of flying. There just might be something, like, if you're struggling to save money, it could be money belief issues, but it could also be that you're scared of traveling as much as you want to do it, and not having money to travel is an excuse that you can use when, if you talk about how much you want to travel and someone says, well, why haven't you? You can say, oh, because I can't save money, I just struggle, I can't resist a bargain. Do you know what I mean? Like, just have a think about it. If you haven't been able to save money for travel, if you haven't been able, like, if you really, really, really want to travel and yet you can't prioritize that over a new dress, like, just have a think about why that might be. If there could be some fear around traveling, or you have money beliefs such as, I'm just the kind of person that can't resist a bargain, or I want to have everything that I want when I want it. Those kinds of beliefs can really stop you from achieving your long-term goals. So I just wanted to mention that, because I think these kinds of videos can often only talk about the technical side, which is, I'm going to be talking about that too, the practical side of what I actually did to save the money. But I think the mindset is super, super important. And if you have a mindset that conflicts with what you want to achieve, it's really going to be tough. So building some awareness around that is amazing. Highly recommend reading some books about it, or at least, just doing something to increase that awareness. But I particularly love Secret of, what's it called? It's by T. Harv Eker. I think it's called, oh my god, this is actually really going to annoy me, so I have to look it up. There's also Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. T. Harv Eker. Oh my god, sorry to do this. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. I love that book so much. Don't know why I couldn't think of the title. Getting confused. He just really talks about sorting out all those money beliefs. Often, people have grown up with their parents saying, oh, rich people are evil, or saying, like rich people or people with money don't deserve it, or that they're snobs, or or that money doesn't grow on trees, and we have all these beliefs that really aren't helping us. So I love that stuff. I'm obsessed with it, and it's really helped me. So I highly recommend checking out those books. I will leave a link in the description box so you can check them out. I probably recommend Secrets of the Millionaire Mind first. It's a much quicker read. I listened to it on Audible, and yeah, it really gets into some good stuff with money beliefs. And if you're really resistant to checking something like that out, also have a think about why you might be resistant to it. That stuff can also be really interesting too. So a few of the practical things that I did to save money. The first and the biggest was to automate my savings. I'm just checking this is recording. I know I do that every video, but my god, if I found out this wasn't recording. So the first thing and biggest thing was automating savings. So I think a lot of people will try to save the leftovers, and I think what we spend just expands based on what we have available. So a lot of people, they think the answer to saving more money is earning more. It definitely can be, but if you just inflate your lifestyle, it's not going to actually help you. So learning to manage the money you do have and paying yourself first. It's something that gets talked about in Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I'm sure you've heard it. Just paying yourself first, putting that money in savings first, and then living off the rest. So obviously you figure out how much you need to give yourself to have left to live off. So if you have rent, bills, give yourself an allowance for money to spend on fun things. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But just figuring out what you need to have left, and then setting up so the day you get paid, it's so easy to set up with online banking, just a direct debit to another savings account. I had mine set up in an account that's with a completely different bank. So when I log into my normal savings, I couldn't see it. The account that I sent it to didn't have a card attached to it, and I had to wait 2 business days, I think, to get the money. So it wasn't easy to access, and I really just forgot about it. And then I'd check and be like, oh my god, like you can really just see it growing, and then you start getting good interest on it. So having that automated savings and paying yourself first really, really worked so well. It doesn't mean you have to restrict yourself, but it means you just make it a priority. If you really want to travel, why not make that a priority? Make saving money for that experience a priority. If you don't, then you're going to naturally prioritize other things that you're in the habit of prioritizing, like buying new clothes whenever you see it, or getting whatever's on sale. Like, just have a think about what your financial priorities are, and if your current spending habits are a reflection of that. And automated savings can be a really good way to keep yourself on track as you change your mindset and get into that new habit of saving. So automated savings was amazing. I recommend automating only a small amount at first. So by the end of it, I was saving about half my pay, I think, or quite a big sum. But I started by automating like $100 and then $200, and kind of just decreasing my lifestyle, not in a restrictive way, but just cutting the fat so I only had the essentials that I loved left. I'm going to talk about the whole restriction thing in a second and why I don't think it's the answer. But yeah, automated savings, amazing. Second thing is not to give up shopping or whatever it is that you think has been stopping you. So this is more so just around restriction. I think, especially if you're a perfectionist like me and can fall into that all or nothing thinking, I know there are people that have had a lot of success with shopping bans, but I don't think that actually really changes the mindset, and it can really make it seem a lot more temporary, whereas I'd be a lot more interested in a permanent lifestyle change and changing the mindset instead of not shopping for a week or a month or a year and then going back to your old habits, just thinking, well, do I actually love all the things that I'm buying? How can I, if you love clothes, don't give up, or you love coffee, you don't have to give that up, and I don't recommend giving it up, but you're probably not doing it in the best way that you could. So if it's with clothes, do you even love everything that you buy? Do you actually love the clothes, or is it the instant gratification that you love? But if it is the clothes, do you love everything you buy? Could you buy higher quality items so that you don't buy as many of them? Or if you like having a lot of different looks, can you get better at finding those trends in cheaper stores and not being so reactive? So if you see something, instead of thinking, oh my god, I have to have that right now, going away, shops these days have so many different options to get very similar things. If you really love clothes, you would be interested in actually doing that kind of research because you love clothes. So I don't think restriction's the answer. Also around cutting coffee, I'm only a new coffee drinker myself actually, but I have no problem, people oh, I'm so bad spending money on coffee. It's $20 a week. I think there are more important places in your budget to look, $20 a week, but are you spending $80 on a dress you never wear? Do you know what I mean? I think coffee isn't the culprit of all these things, and there are all those articles that are if you cut coffee, you'll save $1,000 a year. Yeah, but unless you have an actual plan for that $1,000, you're probably just going to spend it in some other area of your life. So I don't advocate cutting stuff, especially if you're a coffee person or if you're a fashion person or if you love buying new books. Don't cut that. Just have a look at the other things in your life. What can you cut that isn't bringing you as much happiness and fun as traveling would? Because at the that's your option, travel or keep buying what you've been buying. You're watching this video on how to save money for travel. You obviously want to travel, so just really have a think about, again, if your life priorities are being reflected in your financial priorities or if there's a bit of a mismatch. Also, point 3, use social media to your advantage. So I know I said not to restrict yourself in terms of shopping, but I have noticed that when I am following a lot of fashion and beauty bloggers and Instagrammers and YouTubers and a lot of brands, I buy more. They're good at marketing. They make you feel oh, I'll feel as happy as that person looks if I buy that thing, and it's going to sell out and I need to buy it now so I can look like them. That's actually how I think. So I find instead that unfollowing those accounts, I might say following a few, but going away from them for a bit and finding a lot of amazing travel bloggers and YouTubers and Instagrammers, or even minimalist ones that aren't focused on buying stuff all the time. You are what you surround yourself with, and if you're surrounding yourself with people saying buy this, you need it now, you're probably going to have a harder time saving than if you're surrounded by people who are saying it's so amazing to save for travel and you don't need much to be happy. So be conscious of who you're surrounding yourself with. Find people that are sharing something that's in alignment with your priorities. I'm not saying you can't follow anyone who talks about buying stuff, but just be conscious of how you feel if it does make you want to buy stuff, and whether that is actually what you want, or if you do want to travel. You can have both. It's a false dichotomy. It's not an either or situation, but I think it is important to make sure you come up with some priorities, and it's okay if travel isn't one of them. Like, that can really be a proper answer, but to just be honest with yourself and then check whether the way you spend your money is a reflection of those priorities. The fourth one is to really commit and to create a deadline. So we can kind of fall into the trap of saying, I'll go traveling once I've got enough money I'll travel once I've saved enough money. But I think that it works a lot better and will happen a lot sooner if it is, I will travel on this date and I will save enough money by then. So it doesn't have to be a particular date, but at least a year, and ideally a month. If not a month, then choose a season, say summer 2018. But the more specific, the better. If you have a deadline that you can work towards, and you can really actually work with real numbers, and you can stop procrastinating and putting it off to that future time when you're going to have more discipline and more willpower, and you're already going to have all the clothes you want, so you won't need to buy any more. If that day was going to come, it would have already come. So just make a plan and really commit to following through with it. Traveling is so amazing. I'm sure you know that because you're watching this video, and it really is so easy to put off. There are so many excuses, especially I haven't got enough money, I don't have enough time, I don't know who to travel with, I don't know where to travel, I'm scared of traveling, I'm scared of flying, all these different things. There's so many excuses that can stop you from getting outside your comfort zone, but I would really encourage you not to let them. So commit, create a specific deadline, and then you can really crunch the numbers. In terms of budgeting, as you can see, I never said really to create a budget. I think a lot of people have you have probably tried sticking to a budget before and you haven't been able to. So I didn't really have a budget for when I was saving. I did have to sit down and figure out what are my expenses, which ones are completely essential, which are ideal, I guess, and which are unnecessary. But once you automate the savings, then you can really just let the rest happen. And I think part of the problem that arises with budgeting is if people do it in a restrictive way, and often they do, because when we plan, we want to make really amazing plans, so we give ourselves no wiggle room, and then we're 2 days into it and we want the wiggle room and we haven't given ourselves it, so we just completely ditch it, or we ruin it, and wait till next year to start it. So I don't recommend necessarily having a budget. If you can do it in a way that isn't restrictive and that gives you wiggle room, great. I found that I only needed it for a couple of weeks once I could automate my savings and know what I could automate without being stressed about money, and just gradually scaling back my lifestyle in terms of cutting the things that I was doing out of habit that weren't actually valuable to me and that I could cut without them having much impact on my life. That's what I was interested in cutting, not the most expensive thing, just the things that weren't giving me any value. Or I would rather travel than have that thing. And that's the other thing we often don't ask ourselves. Like, you know, if you're going shopping and you'd otherwise be saving that money for travel, we find ourselves asking, well, do I really like this dress? Instead of, do I want to buy this dress, or would I prefer to go traveling? And just stuff like that, like really keeping it in perspective of, like, as I was saying, it is a false dichotomy. It isn't either or, but for the purpose of this, we'll say it is. And yeah, just really being conscious of whether your priorities in life are reflected by your spending habits. And the final point, this is so huge, is to believe that you can save money. So many people say, I can never save money. I love a bargain too much. There's always something that comes up. Can never get ahead. All these things, if you believe that there's something that will always come up, it will. If you believe that you can't save money, you won't. I really, really do believe, like, whether you believe you can or you can't, it's true. So believe that you can. Believe that, like, don't look to your past for examples of whether or not you can save. Look to your future. See your future self as someone that can save. See your present self as someone that can save. It doesn't matter if you've struggled in the past, because that isn't necessarily an indication of your future unless you let it be. So I really just want to say, believe that it is possible, because it is. And there are ways to do it without it affecting your lifestyle, but just by cutting back those things that really aren't as beneficial as traveling would be, and getting clear on, you know, do you buy a lot of things for instant gratification? Like, you think you might love clothes or shoes or makeup, but you're actually just, it's that instant gratification or that FOMO that's really driving it. And a good way to tell if that's the case is if you're already thinking about the next purchase before you even get to enjoy your most current one. So often we'll buy things and the excitement is in the buying, and that's when it's the instant gratification, if that's the most exciting thing. I think if you really love clothes or makeup or shoes, the most exciting part of it is when you're using it. So if you don't have much excitement, like, you know, you might wear it once and you're like, oh, but now I'm looking on Instagram for the next thing, just be conscious that there's probably a bit of FOMO, instant gratification, and yeah, there's so much more I could say on that. But I think most importantly, automate savings. Don't restrict yourself. Cut out those things that aren't really adding value to your life. Don't cut the things that are really, really adding a lot of value to your life and that you look forward to, but just make sure you're not leaving those things in for the wrong reasons, like fear, like FOMO, fear of not fitting in, all that kind of thing. Use social media to your advantage. Surround yourself with people on social media who believe that saving money for travel is an amazing thing to do, or at least spending money on travel is an amazing thing to do, and all people that value treasuring what you already have, like the minimalist kind of community. Commit to a specific deadline. So don't just tell yourself, I will travel once I've saved money. Say, I want to travel, even if it's in, you know, July 2020. Give yourself that deadline. Put that date up somewhere. Just have that plan in your mind. Print out photos of where you want to travel to. If you don't know yet, print out just inspiring traveling photos generally. Just surround yourself with the idea and believe that it is possible, because if you believe you can save money, you can. If you believe you can't save money, then you won't. So that is really everything that I wanted to share today. I hope you found it helpful, and yeah, this is how I've saved money for all my big trips, and I couldn't think of a better way to spend my money than spending on travel. So I hope you really have a look at whether your spending habits are a reflection of your priorities in life and what you want to achieve, and make the adjustments that you need to. Do it gradually. I know we want to change all of this stuff overnight and have the whole new us, but I've found that gradually is always the better way to do things, and in the end you get the result you want more quickly than if you try to get the result quickly. Because if you try to get the result quickly, you do it in such a restrictive and like you're really just trying to control the situation, and it's harder to maintain that, so often we just abandon it. But if you do it in the more gradual way and give yourself time and permission to be a beginner and to learn and to make mistakes, you will get the result quicker because you're focused on learning in the process. So I hope you found it helpful. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post a new video like this every single day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.